Alright, good evening everybody, and welcome to your daily brew, the 7th edition. Today we're back on the Stonescar train. I had so much fun yesterday. I'm still trying out decks. Still playing Infernal Tyrant. As I said, it's probably my favorite card in the entire game. I love brewing around it. I think you're gonna be seeing a lot more of this card as time goes on. And also still Maiden. I think if you're playing Tyrant, there has to be a lot of you have a lot of incentive to still play Maiden. So we're in a little bit of a different shell this time. We're playing a kind of a Reanimator shell almost, where the idea is we're playing 4 Avara, 3 Grasping at Shadows, and 4 Dark Return. And in the beginning I had Sporefolk in here too, but he turned out not to be. It was just better to have more removal. But the way the game works is essentially we use removal in the early game. You know, all of the good removal spells you can find in these colors. Now we're playing 4 Death Strike in this list. To get to the late game. Then in the late game, also Maiden combos. If you're running this much removal, playing Maiden is really good. And then we combine that with a late game where we grasp, or we Dark Return, or we cast Vara. Just keep putting back Umbran Reapers and Infernal Tyrants, and maybe Maidens, but also like more Varas into play. So that eventually, we have so much reanimation that eventually every deck is just gonna crack. There's no one that can stand up to this like wave of creatures. And that also lets us kind of like beat Callis and Praxis tokens, because Tyrant plus like recurring Tyrants actually lets you like kind of beat through cards like Obelisk, Seen an Obelisk, and other cards like that, because the lifesteal is a good lever versus those type of cards. Like, it does a lot of work, and you can swing. And then if they trade with like 2 creatures, you just put another one in play and do the same thing all over again. And then Reapers can kind of get in for some free wins. So like I said, we're playing 4 Dark Return and 3 Gasping at Shadows as the recursion package, plus 4 Vara Fate Touched, 4 Suffocate, 4 Torch, 4 Annihilate, 4 Death Strike, the full 16 removal spells. I started out with fewer, but a lot of the time all I want to draw is removal. So I just realized that I might as well go all in on that. Then we're playing 4 Quarry, just good card, not much to say about that. With a lot of 1-drops, you can get 0 mana spells every so often, and that's a good thing. And it also sometimes lets you cast Vara for 7. Also can put reanimation targets in the graveyard, which is good. 4 Vara's favor, the main reason to play Shadow, in my opinion. Just good tempo play sometimes, finds you power, actually interacts with the board in a favorable fashion, just good overall. 4 Death Strike, catch-all. This deck has problems with Cirso. Unless we like Umbran Reaper for the win in those games, we kind of have to draw Death Strike, and I see a lot of Cirso on ladder. So that's just a good card in that. 4 Stature Maiden, running so much early in removal that she gets the first weapon almost always, and then a lot of decks have a hard time removing her. If they're like running Elysian, if they're just running Permafrost, really has no good way to take care of this card, and Callis fears her. Just good overall. 3 Grasping at Shadows, like I said, part of the reanimation package. Good with Vara, because you kind of get like get to get one thing. 4 Umbran Reaper, the best card to recur all over again. Like, if you have a Vara in play, you can kill this every turn, get it back, and you have a really fast clock. Also, it dies to Infernal Titan, which looks like it would be a bad thing, but it's usually a good thing, because it means like if they permafrosted, or if you just want to do those 5 extra damage in the same turn, you can do that. Infernal Tyrant, Grave Titan Impersonation. Like, once again, I said this before. This card is really hard to kill. It doesn't look that way, But really, the only good way to kill it that's not Death Strike, which is, you know, kills everything, is actually Vanquish. Other decks just don't have a good way to deal with this card. Sure, you can permafrost it, and that's a thing. But I just think it like survives a lot of stuff. And then Vara. And we're running 28 plus essentially 32 power sources. We're trying to cast 4 8-drops. So I think that's about where you want to be. And we're not running any monuments this time because we want to get to 8. And those kind of like, I would rather draw power a lot of the time than a random free cat. I could see getting a couple or one, maybe what's his name, the guy that kills, he's somewhere around here, this guy, maybe getting a one-off in there, maybe for Death Strike. Let's try, it's good with recursion, let's try a single Furnace Mage. I always end up making these last minute cuts.